Hey, it's Mo Monday. We're here in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, and this is Kyiv Museum. The official language of Ukraine is Ukrainian, and people here speak some Russian too. It's an amazing city, beautiful, and I'm so happy to be here in this amazing museum. The city is very rich in history, in culture. You have to come here, come and visit. This is the oldest library in Kyiv, and there's a lot of books here from the 70s and the 60s. And this picture right here is the picture of Taras Shevchenko, who is the very famous poet of Kyiv. What an amazing, beautiful library and city and museum. This is something very unique, very authentic, definitely worth visiting and checking out. So under the Soviet Union, poets and writers, they were banned of writing in Ukrainian, and the only language they were allowed to write in was Russian language. That's why there was so little literature in Ukrainian, and most of the writings were Russian. However, in 1991, after Ukraine got its independence, come here, let me show you. When Ukraine got its independence, poets and writers, they started to write in Russians, and also the translation movement was very active, and there was a lot of literature translated into Ukrainian. This section of the museum is about Ivan Franko. Ivan Franko was a writer, poet, journalist, and a translator. He translated many works of art from other languages into Ukrainian. He translated for William Shakespeare, for Victor Hugo, and other writers. This is Ivan Franko, and he is one of the most famous translators. He was born in 1856. This is where the translation goes way back in Ukraine, and he was arrested many times for what he's doing and for translating into the Ukrainian literature. He died in 1916. Very interesting. And this is another figure of the Ukrainian literature, Lysia Ukrenka. And this woman was a writer and a feminist activist and a translator. She knew 12 languages. She translated from Latin, French, Italian, Polish, Bulgarian. This is the one that I can remember. I was really reading about Lysia Ukrenka. I was really impressed by her work and everything she did to enrich the Ukrainian literature. She was born in 1871. One of her famous poems was a Forest Song. Google it, Forest Song, and very interesting to read about Lysia Ukrenka. This is so far my favorite part of this museum. This section is the literature of the 20th century, and this is a very sad era, especially in the first half of the 20th century. Many poets and writers and translators were killed by the Soviet governments, and this is because they had different opinion, because they did not agree with the Soviet policies. You see all these writers here, this section, all of them were killed by the Soviet governments in the 1930s, and this is the location where they were killed.